Shalom and welcome to chapter 2 of our Dead Sea Scrolls and Proof of the Zadok Priesthood reading. So today we are going to be getting into chapter 2, Is Moon Sighting Biblical? So first, we must understand the word lunar itself comes from the word lunatic. Our first clue is the word lunar itself. We are given the sun and moon as representation of Messiah and the adversary, light and dark, good and evil. Who will you follow? Now we must ask, is there any scripture that gives example of or explains what exactly a new moon is? 1%, 2% sliver, left side, left to right and back. 2. Someone in scriptures citing a new moon for months. 3. What authority is given to what man to cite it and where? 4. A verse showing specifically the moon Yahuah is for months Chodesh. The answer is no. You will not find an example of any of this found in scripture. If it was required to cite a moon for months by a man, there would be several examples of this in scripture. I would challenge anyone to find book, chapter, and verse in the Bible and see for yourself they aren't there. The only places these can be found is in the Babylonian Talmud and the Mishnah, which only further proves using the moon to determine months is from Babylon. Yahuah demands us to get out of Babylon. The confusion with the word Chodesh. The Hebrew word for month is Chodesh, which means renewal. It's not Yahuah, which means moon. However, modern-day translations and even some biblical dictionaries, such as Strongs Concordance, in order to accommodate the rabbinical lunisolar calendar, have rendered on certain occasions the word Chodesh as new moon. As a result, in the modern-day translated Bibles, there are about 20 instances where the word Chodesh has been erroneously translated into the English language as new moon, instead of new month, as it should be. However, the Hebrew word for moon is Yahuah, not Chodesh. And the Hebrew word Chodesh has no direct or indirect connections with the word Yahuah. Chodesh simply means month, or new month, the renewal. The monthly cycle renewing itself every 30 days as found in Enoch and Jubilees, whereas the moon has cycles of 28, 29, and 30 days. The first time we see the word moon in the Torah, Yahuah, is when the word Yahuah. This is the word that we see when the word moon is used in an astrological sense. There is no example of Ha-Yahuah, or Ha-Yahuah, however you would like to spell it, meaning new moon, found in scripture. However, there are many examples of Ha-Chodesh, which means new month, or head of months as well, all throughout scripture. As the interlinear shows, Ha-Chodesh, 19 occurrences, and here's all the verses they can be found in. The above verses are all referring to the 4 seasonal heads of months, not a new moon. This is exactly why the verbiage was changed, to hide the true calendar. Nowhere is there a single verse stating that the moon, Yahuah, is for months, Chodesh. The word for month is Chodesh, and it is never used in an astrological sense, and there is no etymological path for Yahuah to become Chodesh. Many will try to quote Psalms 104:19 to say the moon is for appointed times. But as we will show below, the word moed is a general term for time, meeting, or season. The only time moed is used for appointed times is when you will see the phrase, quote unquote, Yahuah's moedim. At no other occasion does moed refer to the appointed times or festivals. Excuse me. So here we have Psalms 104:19. He made the moon to mark the seasons. Moed, H 41:50. The sun knows when to set. So this is about the 4 Tekufa, and when the moon is rising and setting opposite the sun. At a full moon it will be opposite of the sun between days 1 and 30 of each month. The Mazarah sign behind the full moon will be the witness to what month and season we are in. This is about seasons, from summer to fall, winter to spring, covering all 4 seasons in an agricultural sense. The moon is never used in the calculation of the calendar as a determining factor. It is a witness. The moon has some allure that makes it very hard for people to let go of using it improperly. After Israel went into the land, the first thing after setting the tabernacle in Gilgal was to completely destroy Jericho, the city of the moon. And what does it say in Revelation? The woman in chapter 12 is clothed in the sun, and the moon is under her feet, which means defeated or dirty. When someone chooses to follow the lunar calendar, they will continue to be children of the darkness, following Babylon, and not the children of light, following Yahuah. From the interlinear, the word moed, meaning appointed time, place, season, or meeting. The original word here in Hebrew, part of speech, now masculine, and here is going to be all the translations it's used for. So these appointed festivals and such, they're only used a small amount of time in comparison to meeting, which it's used 147 times for. And of course season, 4 times for the 4 seasons. And we have season and then seasons. But continuing, moed is the general translation of the word season or time. It's actually used for the word meeting 147 times. That's more than any other use by far. For example, if speaking about the 4 seasons of the year, the word would be moed or moedim. Also, there is a difference between Yahuah's moedim and just moedim. Scripture is very specific, and the festivals of Yahuah will say, these are the appointed times of Yahuah, or moedim. Context is absolutely key. Nowhere will you find that the moon, Yarak, is for the months, Chodesh, or for the festivals. Not once. In biblical interlinear numbering, we will find the Hebrew word Chodesh registered as follows, according to their translation. So we can see it's used 10 times for the word renewal, 53 times for new, 283 times for month, and once as a surname. It's important to note that not once does the word Chodesh ever mean moon. Genesis 8:5, and the waters decreased steadily until the 10th month, Chodesh. In the 10th month, Chodesh, on the first day of the month, Chodesh. Exodus 19:1, in the 3rd month, Chodesh. Leviticus 23:5, in the 1st month, Chodesh, on the 14th day of the month, Chodesh. It could be noted in the above quotes that the word Chodesh is linked to calendar dates, and yet never once to the word Yarak. Let us now take a look at the word moon in the Hebrew Bible. And we have Yarak, which it's used the same spelling, but it has kind of the same meaning as well in all these instances. So we see it's used 28 times, translated as moon. And used twice, translated as a surname, and then we have it translated 12 times as a mistranslated as month, but it means a lunation or a lunar cycle. There's not a single scripture that ever uses the moon, Yahuah, for any feast or any Sabbath, any day, anywhere. Let's take a look at a few scriptures to show that Yahuah is correctly translated as moon. We have Jeremiah 31:35. Thus said Yahuah, who gives the sun for a light by day, and the laws of the moon, Yahuah, and stars for a light by night. Joel 2:10. The earth shall tremble before them, and the Shamayim shall shake. The sun and moon, Yahuah, shall be darkened. Genesis 37:9. And he dreamed still another dream, and related to his brothers, and said, See, I have dreamed another dream. And see, the sun and the moon, Yahuah, and the 11 stars bow down to me. Deuteronomy 17:3. And has gone and served other mighty ones, and bowed down to them, or to the sun, or to the moon, Yahuah, or to any of the hosts of the Shamayim which I have not commanded. This clearly shows how the lying pen of the scribes changed the wording to fit the lunisolar calendar of the Pharisees, and it shows a clear distinction between moon and months. The moon is not to be observed for months. There are two popular versions of the lunar moon Sabbath calendar. One version has the Sabbaths on the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. The other has the Sabbaths on the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, and 29th. The following texts will debunk both. Numbers 10, verse 11. And it came to be on the 20th day of the second month. And in the second year, the cloud was taken up from above the Mishkan of the witness. And the children of Israel departed, journeying from the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And then further on down, verse 33, Numbers 10. So they departed from the mountain of Yahuah on a journey of 3 days. And the ark of the covenant of Yahuah went before them for 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. So this 3 days was showing they were not traveling, they were not observing a Sabbath, they were traveling. And then because the 23rd would be the Sabbath, so that's why they were seeking out a resting place for the Sabbath day. But this is showing they traveled on the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd, and they weren't observing a Sabbath. We also have here in Acts, Acts 20, so this is going to be 7. So Acts 20, 1 through 7. So verse 1, And after the uproar was ceased, Paul called unto him the disciples, and embraced them, and departed for to go into Macedonia. And when he had gone over those parts, and he had given them much exhortation, he came into Greece. And there he abode 3 months. And when the Yehudim laid wait for him, as he was about to sail into Syria, he purposed to return through Macedonia. And there accompanied him into Asia the Sopater of Berea, and the Thessalonians, Aristarchus and Secundus, and Gaius of Derbe, and Timotheus, and of Asia, Tychicus and Tropimus. Apologies, I'm tearing up those names. So, verse 5. These going before tarried for us at Troas. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came unto them in Troas in 5 days, where we abode 7 days. So really quickly, just kind of wanted to point out here, so they observed the days of unleavened bread in Philippi showing they were observing the festivals outside of the land, which proves that modern doctrine that they try to say, the laws, festivals, they're all done away with, shouldn't be observed. This is proving them wrong. Continuing, so verse 7, and upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continued his speech until midnight. So if we break this down and do the math, the last day of unleavened bread is the 21st day of the first month, on day 3 of the week. Paul set sails for 5 days, so 21st, last day, so set the 22nd would be day 4 of the week, day 5, 6, 7, and then they come and land on the first day of the week, which actually happens to be first fruits, where they were observing. That's why they chose to stay 7 days. Where was it? Yeah, they came to them in 5 days. Then they observed unleavened bread, and they stayed 7 more days. And then coming to the first day of the week again, so 7 days. So day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then they come back to the first day of the week. Acts 20 verse 7. And this is going to be the 3rd day of the 2nd month, which falls on day 1 of the week. This is only going to fit the Zadok calendar. So if we do the math counting backwards, we can see this is only going to work on the Zadok calendar. And these verses show Paul was observing the Zadok calendar, as a high Sabbath must remain separate from the weekly Sabbath, as they are both equally set apart. And we're definitely going to cover more on this later in a different chapter, chapter 3. He was also traveling on the 22nd, which lines up to them arriving on the first day of the week, the 26th, 5 days after setting sail, observing first fruits, then stayed 7 more days, again arriving at day 1, the 3rd day of month 2, where they gathered and preached. The 28th is day 3 of the week, not the 7th day of the week. So here we're going to see in the account of John. So this is around the festival of Sukkot. So John chapter 7 verse 2. And the festival of the Yehudim was near, the festival of Sukkot. And coming down to verses 8 through 11. You go up to this festival. And this is Messiah speaking. I am not yet going up to this festival, for my time has not yet been filled. And having said this to them, he stayed in in Galilee. But when his brothers had gone up to the festival, then he also went up, not openly, but as it were in secret. And the Yehudim therefore were seeking him at the festival, and said, Where is he? So why didn't Messiah want to attend the festival at the same time as the apostles? The answer is simple. Just like Passover and unleavened bread, the time of the true festival of Yahuah and the Jews overlapped that year. So Messiah departed later, at the proper time, which would be the 15th of the 7th month. And then John 7:14 through 16. And about the middle of the festival, Yahusha went up into the Mikdash, and he was teaching. And the Yehudim were marveling, saying, How does this man know letters, not having learned? Yahusha answered them, and said, My teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. And so the middle of Sukkot is actually the Sabbath day. And this was the true 7th day Sabbath Messiah was keeping. And this would be the 18th of month 7. And down to John 7:37. And on the last great day of the festival, Yahusha stood and cried out, saying, If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and let him who believes in me drink. The last great day is the 22nd day of month 7, on day 4 of the week, making the 21st and 22nd impossible to be a Sabbath. The following verses are about the 23rd of the 7th month, more proof of the Zadok calendar, not a lunar. So John 7:53, and each one went to his own house, and Yahushua went to the Mount of Olives. And this will coincide with 2 Chronicles 7:10, because we know Yahushua Messiah follows exactly what's written in the Word. So 2 Chronicles 7:10, and on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away to their tents, rejoicing and glad of heart for the goodness that Yahuah had done for David, and for Shalom, and for his people, Yisrael. And so we can see this was the day after unleavened bread, and the people were sent away to their tents. So we know Messiah was following that. So again, this is giving us more evidence through Scripture of the Zadok calendar, and no other calendar will match what we have seen here. Following here, we have John speaking of the 24th of the 7th month. So John 8:2, and at dawn, which was the next day from the verse prior, he came into the Mikdash, and all the people were coming to him, and having sat down, he was teaching them. And then on the 25th of the 7th month, down in chapter 8, John 8, this is 57 through 59. The Yehudim therefore said to him, "You are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham?" Yahushua said to them, "Truly, truly I say to you, before Abraham came to be, I am." Therefore they picked up stones to throw at him. But Yahushua was hidden, and went out of the Mikdash, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. John 9:1-6. And passing by, he saw a man blind from birth. And his Talmudim asked him, saying, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he should be born blind?" Yahushua answered, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of Elohim might be made manifest in him. It is necessary for me to work the works of him who sent me, while it is day, because night is coming, when no one is able to work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said this, he spat on the ground, and made clay with the saliva, and applied the clay to the eyes of the blind man. And John 9:14-16. So now it was a Sabbath when Yahushua made the clay and opened his eyes. Therefore the Pharisees also asked him again how he had received his sight. He said to them, "He put clay on my eyes, and I was washed, and I see." Therefore some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from Elohim, because he does not guard the Sabbath." Others said, "How is a man who is a sinner able to do such miracles?" And there was a division among them. So the 25th day of month 7 is the 7th day Sabbath. This makes it impossible for the 28th to be a Sabbath day, or the 29th. And this only fits on Yahuah's true calendar, the Zadok calendar, if you simply do the math. So we can see, after the days of unleavened bread, and it came to be the Sabbath day after that, Sukkot, not unleavened bread. And then it was that Sabbath after that, we can directly do the math and count backwards and see. So the moon is not for months or a determining factor in calculating the year. It is a witness, and it is impossible for the Sabbath day to fall on the 7th, 14th, 21st, and the 28th, or the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, as we have seen throughout Scripture. We should stop using the moon as a determining factor because it's a witness. If you're using it as a determining factor, you're following Babylon. Revelation 22, 1 through 2. And he showed me a river of water of high life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Yahuah and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, high, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. So 12 fruits yielding the fruit for every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So 13 months are Pharisee/Babylonian infused. They're not Yahuah ordained. So please read 1 Chronicles 27, 1 through 15, and 1 Kings 4, 7 through 19. So we're going to have here all the verses we see in Scripture for month 1. All the verses here for month 2. The 3rd month. The 4th month. The 5th month. The 6th month. The 7th month. The 8th month. The 9th month. The 10th month. The 11th month. And the 12th month. But for the 13th month, there is no verses. You will not find a single verse speaking about a 13th month at all. Deuteronomy 4:2. Do not add to the word which I commanded you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahuah your Elohim, which I am commanding you. So if we don't have book, line, and chapter of Moses citing a moon for anything, we cannot add to his word by saying we have to cite moons. Deuteronomy 12:32. All the words I am commanding you to guard. All the words I am commanding you, guard to do it. Do not add to it, or take away from it. So what we have seen is the Pharisee scribes have taken away from his word and added citing moons to it, simply by the word mistranslation of the word chodesh, mistranslated into new moon. Proverbs 30, verse 6. Do not add to his words, lest he reprove you, and you be found a liar. So if we are making claims that there's a 13th month, and we have to cite sliver moons for these months, this is not only adding to his word, but it's going to make you be found as a liar, because we are quoting things that are not actually in Scripture. Revelation 22, 18 through 19. For I witness to everyone hearing the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to them, Elohim shall add to him the plagues that are written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part from the book of life, and out of the set apart city, which are written in this book. So as we can see, citing the moon for months or citing sliver moons is not biblical. You will not find any verses describing how to cite a moon or exactly what to do to cite it. And as we read in the previous chapter, that all stems from Babylon. And this concludes the reading of chapter 2. Stay tuned for chapter 3 reading next. And that is going to be the proofs of Zadok being the legitimate priesthood. Thank you for listening. Shalom and blessings, everybody. And we will see you next time.